What's up, my comic book fanatics? This is Chris, and this is my channel, We Love Comics. Thank you, as always, for taking the time to check out this video. And as you can see here, we are doing our next honest review, which, of course, is the comic book Descender. This was done by Image Comics. Right here, we have the regular issue, and this is one of the few variants. This was done by Image Comics. One thing I'm loving right off the bat, this comic is only $2.99, which, considering some of the prices for comics these days, especially in the major two, Marvel and DC, where some books go as high as $4.99 a piece, it's refreshing to see that even with a #1, they could keep it reasonably priced to make people want to read it. So hats off to them for that. This book was written by Jeff Lemire, and it was illustrated by Dustin Nguyen, or Nguyen, I'm not sure how it's pronounced, forgive me. So, let's get into the review. Without giving any major spoilers, basically this book starts out, it's kind of like if Star Wars met artificial intelligence. So it's that kind of book, but I have to say, and even my cat has to say, that this is a pretty decent book. It starts out on a planet called Narata, and it's one of 9 realms, and all of a sudden they meet these gigantic robots. And you could see my cat is very curious about this particular comic. But there are these gigantic robots, one for each particular world, and without giving spoilers, they're trying to figure out why these robots, where they came from, who they're associated with, and why they are about to attack. And as you could see, this kid right here, they're what's called Tims. I won't say what that is, but basically these are androids. They found one on a particular planet where everybody, for some reason, they don't really explain how, but all the people on this particular area were all decimated, and he was the only thing alive. And there is a connection between this android and these gigantic robots, but I won't explain. All right, let's look at the art. As you could see, the art, it's got like a kind of painting kind of atmosphere. And I love when they do splash pages. And that will show the gigantic robots. See, these are some of the spaceships. So just to show the grand scale of the size of these robots. So I will say, art-wise, I like this art. This, to me, it's got, like I said, it's got like a painting kind of look to it. They make it kind of like a movie. And speaking of which, this was optioned already for a movie. So that already shows that the people that read this book initially had a good idea of this becoming something popular. So color-wise, not majorly colorful, but it definitely hits home. One negative thing I will see, if you see all these green little areas where there are words, the letters are so small that it's sometimes you almost have to squint to get to it, and I have pretty good vision, so I really think they need to work on the lettering. A lot of it, as you can see here, it's very, very small font. See again, right here, in the pink. So that, I think they need to fix on. They need to make it a little bit more readable for people. The story, basically like all first issues, is trying to set up what's happening. So you're kind of getting a general background, but it is fairly easy to follow along. It was a quick read. I really think it should have been a little bit longer. But I think for the idea of what is going to come of this book, this is definitely one I would recommend. It's got nice looking covers. The art looks pretty good. My cats seem to be obsessed with this particular book. So we're going to move him out of the way. Story is a little slower, but obviously in the first issue they're going to have to kind of set everything up to explain it, but it is understandable. And when you read it, you'll see the connection of what I was speaking about earlier. I don't want to give away any spoilers. So for me, I would say, especially for a first book, not a lot of advertisements. Another good thing I like, there's some splash pages. I think it could have been a little bit longer. But overall, I think the art looked really nice. The story kind of flows, sets everything up, and it makes you want to see where it goes. And when you get a book like that, that's always a good sign when it makes you want to pick up the next issue. So for me, this is a definite pickup. I would definitely recommend it, especially at this price, $2.99, considering how much comic books are going for these days. And I would give this book about a 4.25 stars out of 5. So this is definitely a book worth picking up. As far as I know, a lot of places are starting to sell this out already, and some of the variants, especially the more rarer variants, are starting to really get up there in price. So if you have not had the opportunity to pick this up, I highly suggest you get it soon. It is definitely a good read, and definitely one that makes you want to continue to read it, and that's a good story. So, good job on this first issue. I'm really happy about it. I think, like I said, the only negative I could really think of is, two negatives is the fact that it seemed like it went rather quickly, and the font for the words were just a little bit too small, making it harder to read. So other than that, that's just little nitpicking. I really think this is a good book. So if you appreciate my reviews, I want you to give it a thumbs up. That helps to share this information. Speaking of which, if you could share it by posting it on your social networks to let other people out there know about this book, sharing my information on your Twitter, on your Facebook, and all your other social networks really does help promote this channel. And speaking of which, if this is the first video you've ever seen of mine, please hit that proverbial subscribe button and join We Love Comics, because obviously if you're here, that's because we know you do. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this review. Don't forget to leave your comments. If you've had the opportunity to read this book, tell us what you think. See if you think I am on the money with this, and let's see where it goes. So thanks for watching, guys, and enjoy the rest of your night.